was a lot of misinformation that was put out. So we got some calls here at our district from concerned parents about, is my kid safe traveling down to the border? And I fielded some calls. I even fielded some calls from our school administration about what are our protocols.
This is Joe Martin, Executive Director, Texas High School Coaches Association. Thank you for joining us today on our podcast. Before we get started, a few updates regarding the spring of 2025. Just reminding you that our 25-26 THSCA membership is available to you on our website. And encourage you to sign up as soon as possible, and don't forget your liability insurance as you do that. Also, coaching school tuition is available on our website currently, and you can go to into the portal. You can go to our website and be able to sign up and get your tuition to coaching school, which will be in San Antonio. The Hall of Honor is July the 19th, and coaching school runs July 20 through 22, with a regional meeting being on July the 21st on that Monday, and our general meeting the 22nd. And just reminding you that those two meetings are not the same, and we encourage you to attend both of those meetings, along with the 250 to 270 hours of professional development. We look forward to seeing you at coaching school. The sooner you sign up, the cheaper it is. And providing that you have membership going into coaching school, you'll be set and ready to go coming out of coaching school for the new school year 25-26. As you know, the 89th legislative session started in January. A lot of updates on our website, a lot of things that potentially can impact you, us, all of our coaches and athletics across the state of Texas. So stay tuned to our website. We will be involving updates through Sports U and sending legislative updates as we need you as this session grows beyond vouchers and the UIL bills that are out there. We will be fighting for you in our profession, and we need your help. So stay tuned. When we can get information to you, please respond as soon as possible. Have a great day. This is going to be a great podcast.
Hey coaches, did you know we're now offering shows for all sports? That's right, whether it's basketball, volleyball, softball, baseball, football, soccer, you name it, we've got you covered. If you're looking for a way to showcase your program, promote your players, and highlight the amazing things happening with your team, our coaches shows are the perfect solution. Plus, our business model lets you or your booster club raise money while building excitement and support for your program. Don't miss the opportunity to take your team's story to the next level. Find out how you can get your very own coaches show. Reach out to Chris at 713-269-4620 today. That's 713-269-4620, because every team deserves the spotlight. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Coach's Call. I'm Chris Doelle, and again, we have an amazing subject here and even more amazing people. I want to first say welcome to Melanie Hinson, the Assistant Athletic Director for Southwest ISD. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris.
Cool. And I tell you, I'm excited. I'm going to hand the mic over to you, let you introduce the guest, and talk about how everything we're going to cover. From what I understand, we're going to talk about traveling, but we're going to go into a lot more detail.
Yes, sir. So again, my name's Melanie Hinson. I'm the Assistant Athletic Director at Southwest ISD in San Antonio. I am fortunate enough to be part of the Texas High School Coaches Rock Mentoring Program, so I'm very excited about that. And I'm very active in the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association. I serve on several committees. And last month, Southwest ISD was the host for the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association Region 8 meeting, where Libby Pacheco and Brian Polk were in attendance. And we try to do a professional development segment at each of our monthly meetings. And we had a lot of discussion about travel and concerns with our teams that have to travel to border towns. With the current state of the world we're living in now, and some legal issues. And so we are very fortunate at Southwest ISD to have an incredible police department that we work hand in hand with, from athletics to fine arts, everything. Chief and his group are super supportive of us, and anything we ask of them, they're there. And so I asked Chief Palomo to come and speak at that segment of the meeting concerning travel. And Libby and Brian both told me that this was topics that were brought to them, and asked us if we would bring our topics to your podcast. So that's why we're here. And so I would like to introduce Chief Richard Palomo, who's our police chief at Southwest ISD Police Department. He's also a very strong supporter of the athletic department and Dragon Soccer's biggest fan. So, Chief, welcome.
Well, good morning, Chris and A.D. Hinson. It's an honor to be here today. We're going to talk about some really sensitive topics involving travel, especially to the border. And I just want to let you folks know, give you a disclaimer. This is not legal advice. This is, I'm not an attorney, so I'm just going to give you some best practices that have worked here for Southwest, and I think that they can be replicated throughout the state of Texas. And if you follow these best practices, your kiddos and your athletic teams are going to be okay.
Thanks, Chief. So a little background on our policies. This summer, our athletic department, our fine arts department, and our career and technology group came together with our police department, and we all came up with best practices for travel and some requirements of all of our teams and groups so that everybody's on the same page and we have some consistency across groups within the district. Chief played a big part of this. And so some of the things that we came up with work for every group. And then there's some things that are specific just to athletics, specific just to fine arts, and specific just to CTE. But I want to start with Chief Palomo. Can you tell us a little bit about your role and your responsibilities at the school district and the police department's responsibilities when it comes to student travel? And that could be in town, out of town, either one.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I am the district police chief for Southwest ISD. We do have a great working relationship with our athletic department, our athletic directors, all our coaches. We're really one team. We support each other. And for me, it's about keeping our students safe and our spectators safe. And we do a really good job of providing security for our different athletic events and our different UIL events. But that requires a lot of coordination and requires a lot of cross-functional communication between different departments and different divisions. So I'm just really proud to say that here at Southwest, we do a really great job of keeping everyone safe. We really haven't had any issues. As A.D. Hinson alluded to, we did come together this summer and we developed some best practices for travel. All districts should have a student travel policy, and you should be able to adhere to that. And one of the reasons why you should have one, it kind of standardizes and sets out the expectations, not only for students, but coaches and athletes and student participants as well. If they know those expectations, there's a less likelihood that there's going to be any issues when they go out of town. And we're pretty confident about the policy we put together in place. They work well for Southwest, and as I mentioned earlier, and if you really just take time and study your district travel policy, that'll keep you safe and keep your kiddos safe.
All right, Chief, before we get into best practices, what are some common safety concerns that you hear from coaches or some of your peers regarding team travel?
Okay, one of the main concerns is kids being kids, trying to sneak contraband on these out-of-town trips. We'll let the dog run through the bags, and we'll let the kids know. We want to make sure they understand that they're representing not only Southwest, but they're representing themselves and their family. So we make that very clear to our students. And for the most part, most students comply, but it's just another layer of security and a peace of mind for our coaches and our athletic department. So that's one of the main concerns. Another one is how do we keep our kids safe in the hotels? What kind of protocols do we have in place to make sure we're doing bed checks and keeping kids off those phones?
Great. Thanks, Chief. Maybe curb some unnecessary escapades. And we do let the parents know that bags will be searched prior to loading the bus to leave. So, in talking about that preparation, what do you think are the most important steps that they need to make sure that they're adhering to before those trips?
Well, like I said, I think education is a big part. Letting the parents know, letting the students know before you on the trip. These are expectations, these are the parameters. That way, there is no misunderstanding about what is required if you're going to go on the trip. And like I said, for the most part, our students adhere to those protocols. We haven't had a whole lot of issues, peace of mind. But I think the biggest takeaway from this is the educational piece, letting parents know, hey, these bags will be searched. If Johnny wants to go on this trip, they will be checked. They will be checked. And on some of these out of town trips, depending where we're going, we may send one or two officers to accompany those kiddos to wherever they're going. So that adds another layer of safety because we want to make sure that our students and our coaches are safe if they're going outside of San Antonio.
And I want to add to that, Chief. Again, we're very fortunate, our police department, for even in-town games. If we have a stadium we might be going to or a team we might be playing that there's some concerns, either with parent expectations or student behavior, our police department is always willing to send extra officers with us, and they communicate very well with our opposing teams' districts with their police department. So thank you, Chief. We're very thankful for that.
Let me just add something to that, AD. We're fortunate, like I said, that we have a great workmanship with our athletic department and our surrounding school districts. We have great support from our superintendent and our school board. School safety is paramount for those two individuals. They want to make sure that our kids are safe here at Southwest and when they're away. So if there's any doubt about whether we need to send someone, we're going to send an officer. We're always going to side on the side of caution. We want to make sure that our kids are safe, and we'll go ahead and send those officers out to escort those buses and keep an eye on our students.
So, Chief, as far as documentation that kids should have with them, we always need to have our medical emergency information, our parent contact information. What about kids that have to travel with medications?
The coaches should make sure they have permission from the parents to administer that medication. And I would also include maybe your school nurse to make sure everybody's on the same page, but definitely have some type of permission from the parents to administer that medication. Because we know we have a lot of athletes that have asthma. And you got to make sure that you have that medication for those kids that are asthmatic.
So our districts that we're in football, we're in 14-5A and we're in 28-5A for our other sports. We do have to travel to Laredo and Eagle Pass. And we've had some concerns from parents, both going and coming, all teams involved. And in our presentation, you had mentioned that it's important that our kids travel with their student IDs. Can you go into detail on that, please?
Well, let me just go over some of the documentation that I recommend that our coaches have when they go out of town or even in town. Always make sure that you have an approved itinerary. That should be available. You should have permission slips signed by parents. And you should have emergency medical release forms for all students. That's important. You should have what we call a go bag. In law enforcement, we call them go bags. And we have all this information in the event that we have to respond to emergency, that we have that information readily available. Everything is digital now. You could have that on your iPad or laptop where you can have that information readily available in the event that you have an emergency. Updated information, contact information, that should be with you at all times. And if you're going down to the border, it's important to have your student ID because one, that's going to identify you as a student to your respective district, and then you should also have your traveling attire. That should be your school colors or polo shirts, whatever you're wearing, you should have that because that also identifies you as a student athlete.
Thank you. So as we move into the border city travel and the concerns that we've raised, I want to address some of those concerns. Again, I want to stress this is not legal advice. This is just advice from our chief. So, Chief, traveling to or through border cities, obviously that adds some challenges. What happens if a coach or the school vehicle is stopped and approached at border checks?
So we have a lot of teams here in the San Antonio area or South Central region that do travel down to the border. So that's part of their schedule that they may have to play down at some border cities. So I know back in January when the president signed an executive order saying that all illegal immigrants that had warrants were going to get arrested, there was a lot of misinformation that was put out. So we got some calls here at our district from concerned parents about, is my kid safe traveling down to the border? And I fielded some calls. I even fielded some calls from our school administration about what are our protocols. And if you go back to your board policy, most districts have travel policies, right? And visitor policies. And what we did is, as a group, I know me and AD Hinson had some conversations. The district brought some district leaders together right after that executive order was signed to really kind of discuss our protocols. So what we did is we reviewed our protocols and we wanted to make sure that they were sound. So we added a few more and we conveyed that after we met. We put out some protocols and we shared that out with all our school administrators to kind of just give them some guidance on how do you handle an ICE agent that comes to your campus, or how do you handle ICE coming aboard your bus if you're traveling, CBP as well. So we put that guidance out, and we've had several trips down the border, and we haven't had any issues. As I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of misinformation. People were putting out that ICE was going to board the buses and they were going to check for immigration status. We haven't seen that. But I just want to make it very clear that CBP, Customs Border Patrol, and ICE do have the right to to get on those buses and check for U.S. citizenship, right? Normally, they'll talk to the bus driver, the coach, and ask if everyone on the bus is an American citizen. They have the right to do that. My advice to you is to cooperate. If you have any issues with CBP, I would call your athletic director and your superintendent and have them give you some advice. If for some reason one of your kids gets detained, your student athletes or a student participant gets detained, my advice to you would be to make sure, as you as a head coach, go with that individual until you find out what's going to happen. I would call the parent. I would immediately call my athletic director, and I would call my superintendent to let them know. Do not leave that young man or young lady by themselves. You go with them to find out the disposition. But Border Patrol and ICE, they have bigger fish to catch. They're not looking to take kids into custody. I hope that clarifies it.
It does. And I think it's important that, for some coaches, it can be a very stressful situation if they're in that situation. What are some basic, real quick, do and don't headers to give them if that happens?
Like I said, do not hinder, do not get in their way. Physically, they have a job to do. Like I said, legally, they can board those buses and they can ask for citizenship. Now, if you get in the way or you try to hinder them, you may be subject to arrest. That's the last thing you want to happen, because you got to be responsible for all those kiddos on that bus. So make sure you stay calm. As I mentioned earlier, make sure you immediately call your athletic director and superintendent and wait for guidance. If they decide they do want to take one of your students off the bus for further questionings, I would highly encourage you to go with that student and stay with them till you find out exactly what they're going to do with that student.
So, talking some real world scenarios here, taking in everything that we've talked about and best practices and planning. Um, I can talk about a scenario where we didn't necessarily have all of these practices in place, and we had some bag searches happen, and had some very upset parents. And so I can't stress how important it is to make sure you're fully communicating with your parents on what the expectations are, what's going to happen. When you do bag searches, let them know at the parent meeting exactly what's going to take place if our canine is going to be involved, and specifically what they're allowed to bring and what they're not allowed to bring. I think that's important. Give them a list. Any real world scenarios you want to talk about not being prepared on traveling and things like that?
Yeah, AD, let me just start off by saying that most districts do have travel protocols and travel policies. If you're not familiar, just go to your board policy and look it up. And I think it's important at the beginning of the school year when you start having your booster club meetings and you have your meetings with your parents that you lay out these expectations. Our primary concern is when our students travel out of town that we keep them safe. We don't want them to take any contraband. And I'll just share a quick story with you. When I was at a inner city district many years ago, we had a student group that traveled to Big Bend. And back then, there was no protocols in place for bag searches. There was no travel protocols. So this young student was caught with marijuana in Big Bend, Texas. All right. I guess that's about what, 300 or 400 miles away from San Antonio. So we get a call from the local sheriff's office telling us that they have Johnny in custody, that we need to come pick him up. So we had to send a couple of officers down to Big Bend to pick up Johnny and bring him back to San Antonio. So the lesson learned here was, you know what? Any out of town trips, we are going to search bags. And the board policy allows you to do that. But I think the key here, AD, is the communication piece. Educating our parents, educating our student athletes, our students that if you take an out of town trip, we're going to make sure that you don't have any contraband in your bag. Because the last thing you want is for a student to get arrested out of town and you having to go down there and pick up the student because they were in custody.
Yeah. So I think this is a good segue just to mention how fortunate we are from our board and from our administration that you have Officer Ranger on your force now. And so could you tell us a little bit about Ranger?
Yes, we have our own canine. I've been the chief here at Southwest for about 9 years, and I've been advocating for a canine, not only just for bag searches, but just to add another layer of safety for our students and our staff to make sure that we are a drug-free district. And Ranger does a great job of going out there and deterring kids from bringing drugs to school or contraband. So we're very fortunate that we do have our own canine that is accessible to all our district employees, specifically our athletic department for these out-of-town trips, our other departments within the district. The dog is here at their disposal, and he belongs to us. He does a great job. He does a great job with our students. The students love him. He's a Belgian Malinois. He's very aggressive. He's about 18 months old. He does a wonderful job of keeping our district drug free.
He's precious. So as we wrap up, I can't stress the importance of over communicating to your parents, to your administration on your plans for travel, and making sure all of that is well laid out. Is there one piece of advice you can offer, Chief, as we close out our podcast?
I would just tell you to make sure you understand your district's travel policy, and if it needs to be shored up, go ahead and shore it up, and make sure that you have something there about out-of-town travel, specifically if you're going down to the border, and how to interact with CBP and ICE in the event that you do encounter them. And the reality is, if you go down the border, you're going to have to come back, and you're going to get stopped at that checkpoint. Just make sure that you understand your district's protocols and you understand what to do in the event that, unfortunately, one of your kids gets detained.
Chief, I want to thank you for taking your time today. Again, thank you and your officers for everything you do for our district, and always being there when I call to you to jump in and offer advice to our ADs and to our coaches. And with that, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you, AD Hinson. Wonderful questions, I tell you. And thank you, Chief Palomo, for all this great information. You know, as a coach, you might not think of things like this because you're thinking of X's and O's and kids and motivation and schedules, but travel, that's a big deal. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, of course, I want to thank our guest, but I also want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me what I consider the most valuable thing you can give, your time and your attention. And I know you don't do it to hear me. You do it for the great messages provided by the THSCA. And hey, if you'd like to associate your company with the THSCA and the Coach's Call podcast, limited sponsorship opportunities are available. You can reach out to me, Chris Doelle, 713-269-4620, or head over to my website, freshmediaworks.com. Once again, thank you so much for supporting Texas high school coaches. Please share this show out to everybody you can so that we can help share these important messages. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on The Coach's Call. The interviews in this show are brought to you by the Texas High School Coaches Association. THSCA provides to its more than 26,000 members access to the people, events, tools, and resources to help them thrive in the profession, become trusted leaders in their communities, and live balanced and successful lives. The work and sacrifice coaches do every day is vital to the development and success of student athletes. The THSCA supports these efforts. We fight for every coach, provide them with the connections and resources to improve their lives, and help all student athletes throughout the state enjoy lasting success. The mission statement is simply this: to help and serve Texas high school coaches as they work to help and serve student athletes. Helping coaches help kids. For more information on the THSCA, visit www.thsca.com.